Hello and welcome everyone to the first episode of Level Up Gaming. I'm your host Andres, also known as the Nerd Soup Marshmallow, and I'll be joined here by Cam and Manny. How's everyone doing?
Hey, what's up? Just happy to be here.
How's it going, guys? Also happy to be here. Told you turtle soup is coming.
Been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Very long time coming. About 5-6 years now.
When was your first video? Was it? Or no, that's me.
I don't know. I was probably in a video back in the OG channels back on 2016 or something.
Back in the ancient days.
Yeah.
Well, Level Up Gaming will consist of discussing gaming news, rumors, and just whatever comes to mind, really, that's gaming related. Today, we'll be discussing E3. I know you have prepared a lot of notes for it today, Cam.
Yes, I have.
On the piece of paper. Couldn't, type it up on a Google Doc in the 21st century. This kid hand writes it all.
Would have been nice.
Only you can share it with us somehow.
All right. Enough slander. For day one, we had three developers go. It was Ubisoft, Devolver Digital, and Gearbox. Ubisoft announced Rainbow Six Extraction, Just Dance 2022, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, a Far Cry 6 Season Pass, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Devolver Digital announced Shadow Warriors 3, and Gearbox announced Tiny Tina's Wonderland, a Borderlands spinoff.
What would you say is your biggest takeaway from all these announcements? Is there one you're like the most excited for?
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty excited for Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I mean, I played the other Borderlands games, and Gearbox they really know what they're doing over there. The characters in that series are hilarious, and Tiny Tina is one of the funniest ones, and I can't wait to see where they go, adding fantasy elements to her story.
For sure. I think the Borderlands world in general is just like so creative, and there's just a lot of potential to expand into little stories. And I just love the whole gameplay behind it too. What about you, Manny?
I'm going to say the biggest news for me was definitely that Just Dance 2022 won't be coming to the Wii this year. I don't know what they're going to do in the retirement homes. Other than that, nothing else was really important.
They got Wii Sports Resort. Come on, that'll never get old. It's the greatest Wii game of all time, no question.
What are they going to do without their updated songs, man?
Right?
Come on.
In terms of disappointing news, I gotta say I was pretty disappointed that Ubisoft announced the season pass for a game that hasn't even been released yet. And this is coming from someone who actually loves the Far Cry games. I think the gameplay is really fun, and while the story is predictable and pretty cliche most of the time, I was just really hoping that I don't know, it feels very EA to me. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. Far Cry has always been like a guilty pleasure. The games aren't perfect, obviously. It's the same formula almost every single time, but they're fun. But announcing a season pass before even the game comes out is some EA shit. It's like they're not even trying with the actual game itself. They just want to sell you more shit. I mean, it's already a $70 game and another $20-$30 season pass. $100 game before it even comes out.
Yeah, and like the craziest thing too is that there will still be people who pre-order the Ultimate Edition to that. It's like no one learned their lesson from Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I do think the DLC will be cool. I mean, bringing in characters like Voss seems pretty interesting, or Pig and Min from Far Cry 4. But I don't know if
this is what they want you to say.
Money. Yeah, I don't know if it's worth the money. Another game that Ubisoft was releasing that I was looking a lot of forward to was Rainbow Six Extraction. I've been playing a lot of Siege myself lately, and Rainbow Six Extraction is going to be a co-op game where you're using the operators from Siege and you're fighting an alien parasite with powers, they say, to level up and to get new guns and stuff. It's going to be dropping in early 2022. So I thought that looked really interesting. What about you guys?
That definitely sounds interesting for sure. I mean, I'm all over co-op games in general. I think it's just fun to like strategize with friends and like situations like that. I honestly haven't played much of the Rainbow games, and to be honest, I thought that was DLC at first, so I was kind of surprised to see it's like a completely separate game. But I mean, if it's good, I'd totally look into it and buy it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and act like I'm a big fan of Rainbow Six Siege. I know Cam was trying to get me to play with him, but I just dubbed him. So I mean, it looks definitely looks cool. I just don't know too much about it, so I don't have much to say about it.
In my opinion, the most interesting game that Ubisoft announced actually was the Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora game. I saw giving it online because they were like, "Well, we need a James Cameron Avatar game when he hasn't dropped the movie in like 10 years." But the visuals for this game just looked amazing. Even though we didn't see any gameplay and don't know what we're really going to be doing, as long as they just keep that little Horizon Zero Dawn vibe they had, I'll be all for it.
For sure, like many of the disappointed fans, I too thought it was another Avatar movie finally. Just like after seeing that visual trailer, I was like, holy shit, like James Cameron's finally doing it. And no, it's a game, but at the end of the day, it looks like it could be a really fun game, so I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, kind of the
Definitely,
game that nobody asked for, but it definitely that world has a bunch of potential to be a great open world game. So I I mean if it comes out and it looks good, I'll definitely play it.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, also on day one, earlier I mentioned that Devolver Digital had a showcase. I didn't know who Devolver Digital was. I don't know about you guys, but for three, I haven't played Shadow Warriors 1 and 2, but I'm really excited for 3.
I've seen
But
gameplay of
the
it. Like you, I haven't played it either, but I do think it looks like very fun gameplay at that. I mean, just running around in first person with a sword doing like crazy moves, like that's just fun in general.
I mean, doesn't he look like it looks like it's trying a little too hard to be Doom? I don't know. I've never played any of the games. I don't know if the first two games were like that, but that gameplay literally just looks exactly like Doom. Obviously,
Kind of
I mean, it's a great Doom's awesome. It's a great formula to go off of, but it looks almost copy and paste.
I mean, that's what happens though when a really good game comes out. For example, like Doom stands out in gameplay because I feel like in some ways it's like mastered like the first person single player experience with like the hook shot and just like how fast it goes. You could even see that in the new Halo Infinite multiplayer gameplay. You see like Master Chief or like Spartans like hook shotting from place to place. Like that literally feels straight out of Doom, but if it works, it works. Sometimes games just leave like gameplay legacies in a way.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I'm not sure if this is gonna be a full price game, and if it's not, I will definitely be buying this game first day it
Mhm.
comes out. If they release this game for let's say like $30 in a world where everything's coming out for 70, I think this is gonna have some bang for your buck for sure.
For sure.
Uh, Over to Gearbox. Gearbox, as I said before, they announced Tiny Tina's Wonderland, but they also had a trailer for the Borderlands movie where Kevin Hart came in. So I don't know much about what they're going to do for this movie and if they're going to follow the story of the actual games. But I mean, with the cast they have, like Kevin Hart and just other funny comedians, I think this movie's going to be hilarious.
For
Well, I
sure.
mean,
I
with the
mean,
great track record of video game movies, I'm sure it'll be an instant classic.
video game movies are just doomed to fail at this point, and it really sucks because I mean the stories are definitely there. There is no argument that like video games can't be cinematic. Games like Last of Us and Red Dead clearly prove otherwise.
You really
But
think it's I mean,
yeah,
video game movie plus Kevin Hart doesn't sound like a formula for a good movie there.
I mean, did you guys see Sonic? I thought Sonic was good.
I heard
I didn't
Sonic
see
was
Sonic,
good.
honestly.
Go watch
I-
Sonic and then come back at me with this take,
Well,
okay?
last
all right.
video game movie I saw was the Mortal Kombat movie, and we all know how that went.
Yeah, that was. All right, should we go day 2 now?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
move on to day 2 of E3. So moving on to E3 day 2, Cam, what do you have for me?
Okay, so day 2 we had companies like Xbox and Bethesda go. Bethesda actually was just purchased by Xbox, so they had the same press conference. And we also had Square Enix go. Bethesda and Xbox announced games like Psychonauts 2, DLC for Fallout 76, Hades is coming to PS5 and Xbox One, or Xbox Series X, my fault. Uh, Sea of Thieves is also getting a Jack Sparrow DLC. Um,
Okay.
We also got announcements like Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, Bethesda, which is a space RPG. Bethesda announced a space RPG called Starfield, which we didn't get much gameplay of, but looked really good. Square Enix announced games like Guardians of the Galaxy and Final Fantasy Origins Strangers of Paradise, which we'll get to later.
Nice. All right, so I actually personally want to start talking about Halo Infinite because I thought it was very interesting news that they announced the multiplayer will be completely free to play. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's huge, you know?
Yeah, I thought that was big. Xbox really setting a precedent over there. That
Mhm.
I mean, people may not like their console exclusives, and they have gone to PlayStation, but they're gonna try to make the experience as good as possible for you. Considering in the past they've had poor launches with their online games like Gears of War, I think this is a step towards the right direction to show everybody that they care a little bit more than last time.
For sure. I think it's just really crazy because, in a way, I'm sure like there's a huge portion of Halo fans that have no intention of playing the story, so now they don't even have to buy the game. Like, I'm sure that's a decision they made completely conscious of how many sales they could potentially lose, but I guess maybe that shows they have some faith in the single player also, that it'll stand on its own feet.
Yeah, it does. I remember personally when a couple years ago when it was the decision to get PS4, Xbox One, I almost went to Xbox because I wanted to play Halo 5. But then once I heard the launch wasn't great, I didn't go. But for some people who are also on the fence, now that PlayStation 5 is so hard to get and the Xbox Series X is easier, maybe some people do go towards Microsoft this time just because of a free multiplayer like Halo.
Yeah, on top
Yeah.
of that, with the Bethesda deal they have,
It
Mhm.
seems like Fortnite set the precedent with the. I'm assuming there's going to be a bunch of cosmetics and loot boxes to be able to buy in this story
for
because they got to
sure.
make that money back somehow for making it free.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have an Xbox. I don't. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I just got a weird text.
You're
uh,
good.
I mean, the fact that the multiplayer is free is cool. I guess they're following the Fortnite precedent. I guess they're obviously going to have a bunch of loot boxes and shit and cosmetics that you could get. They're going to cost you a bunch of money because they got to make back that money somehow. But if I'm being honest, I do not have high hopes for this game. I mean, I loved the old Halos as much as anyone. Big fan of like the originals, played them a lot growing up. But Halo has been good in some time. So if I'm being honest, I don't expect this one to be great. I would like it to be, but I'm keeping my expectations low for it.
On
So I
top
don't
of
want to get
that, we have to consider that Halo Infinite was supposed to be a Xbox Series X and S launch title, and
yeah.
since then it's been delayed and gone through multiple developer leads. So it is a little uncertain what the truth is behind the game, especially after companies like CD Projekt Red just completely lie to their fans about Cyberpunk. It's like, how much can we really trust these game developers?
Yeah. I mean, at this point in life, I feel like I know better than to get excited for a new Halo game.
That's
So
fair.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get my hopes up.
Overall, though, I thought Xbox and Bethesda had one of the better showcases of the week. I mean, they announced 27 games for Game Pass, like I said. I mean, I don't know anybody who has PlayStation now. If PlayStation got a similar type of subscription service to Game Pass, I think it would really increase like sales and stuff, everything. But I don't know. I just thought that the fact that they're bringing over 27 old like beloved titles for free was really cool.
Mhm. For sure. I think Sony and Xbox just both have two very different philosophies for how games should be distributed, and it really shows. Sony does have like the PlayStation Plus collection and things like that, but I don't think it really compares to Game Pass and what that offers. But in Sony's defense, they also have these exclusives like Ratchet and Clank, and whenever God of War comes out, Spider-Man, it's tough to compete with those games as well.
Yeah.
Uh, yes.
Speaking of exclusives, that game before I said Starfield is a new space RPG being created by Bethesda. It's going to be an Xbox exclusive releasing on November 11th, 2022. So they announced this game over a year in advance with the release day and everything. I know Bo had been talking to me a couple weeks ago about how he really just wanted a space RPG where you can do anything. And that's what this game's kind of being marketed as. And I don't know if you guys looked into it much, but I'm pretty excited for this. What about you guys? Did you see the trailer at all?
I saw the trailer. I think there's definitely it gives me Mass Effect vibes for sure. So I think that's exciting. I'm actually replaying through the Legendary Edition right now, so I think anything in that genre would be fun. I feel like games in general are very lacking in like the space RPG element. So I mean, I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch that trailer. Don't know much about this game, honestly.
I mean, no one knows much about this game because they didn't show any gameplay in the trailer. You would know that if you watched.
This is
No research, Turtle Soup. How are you gonna do this takeover?
Listen, I just show my face. It's all I need. No, I'm just I didn't pay too much attention to this section of E3. I don't know too much about this game.
That's fine. Let's move on to disappointing stuff, starting with Square Enix. What do you got, Cam?
Okay. You guys know I have a lot to say about this. Both of you know Square Enix is one of my favorite companies. Kingdom Hearts, one of my favorite games. Fantasy, one of my favorite games. But Square Enix might have had one of the most underwhelming E3s of all time. We got games like, as I said before, Final Fantasy Origins Stranger of Paradise, which looked like the worst game ever. The main character in the game said the word chaos at least 30 times in the trailer. I have no clue what the game is about. And the demo's out now, and I still don't want to even download the game. It's free. I don't even want it on my PlayStation memory or in my library. I don't know about you guys, but I was really underwhelmed with their whole performance.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because sorry, Manny, but like there are things like they could easily have announced Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 or the new Final Fantasy game, but we got none of that. So obviously, people are gonna walk out disappointed. What are you saying, Manny?
That Guardians showcase felt like 10 years because me and you, Cam, were sitting there watching it, and they were just showing it forever. And speaking of that game, it doesn't even look great as it is. I mean, Square Enix having the right to the Marvel series it's like EA having the right to like Madden and football and all that shit. It shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, it's almost criminal at this point.
Yeah, I mean they put out that shitty Avengers game. I mean, maybe they learn from their mistakes. They can make this one better, but again,
the idea that it's a single player experience gives me some hope, but I also don't want to put too much hope into that basket.
At this point, it's better just not get your hopes up for anything.
Yeah, I saw that one of the main like gimmicks of this game is it's going to be kind of like a Telltale game in the sense that actions impact the outcome of your story. So I think there should be multiple endings, which sounds cool. But just watching the gameplay of the game, it didn't look fun. It looked like you're just button mashing or just hitting one thing and shooting lasers the whole time.
Like just like quick time events.
Yeah.
Just like your typical action game.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they could, prove me wrong. I guess I sound like a hater right now, but from what they gave us with the Avengers game, I don't have too much hope that they'll put out a great game here with this Guardians. And the Guardians has so much potential to be a great game. And I just have a feeling they're just going to ruin it, and it's going to make me even more mad. But let's not get to that.
I don't know who was really asking for this game. I think, in my opinion, Square Enix shouldn't be making any Marvel games. We saw Insomniac do it perfect twice. They made 2, in my opinion, 10 out of 10 games with the Spider-Man games. And Square Enix has to stick to what they're good at. They make RPGs that are fantasy style. And when you have games that you announce like Final Fantasy 16, you announce that at the day at the conference where you announced the PlayStation 5. You have Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, like Andre said before, that we didn't even know was going to be a thing a year ago. We thought that was going to be one game that was going to have everything.
On top of that, like you said, there's like minimal communication with the fan base. No one had any idea when Part 2 of Final Fantasy was going to come out. I thought like, maybe it'll be announced like 6 months from like when the game releases. It's like, no, this could take years.
I think it's going to come out right after Winds of Winter.
Please no.
All right, day 3.
Okay, so
That's a wrap on day 2, I think, right?
yeah, so moving on to E3 day 3, Cam. Let's see what you got in your notes.
I don't even really need to look at the notes for this one. The only company who presented on day 3 or the only developer who presented on game 3 was Capcom. And in my opinion, this was the worst out of all of the days. Their showcase, all they really announced was a Resident Evil Village DLC that is being developed for all platforms that the game's currently on, and a new game called Resident Evil Verse, which I think is coming out in July. Yes. And it is going to have characters from all the other games come over into one. I'm not too sure about much on the game. We also had Razer announce a new RGB mask, even though the pandemic's almost over. They also announced a new 14-inch gaming laptop, which is supposedly the best 14-inch gaming laptop in the world. And we also saw other things like a new cloud gaming platform called Amazon Luna, which is coming to Prime members in this on June 21st through June 22nd. It's going to be an invite-only access system that that's in testing right now.
Moving on to Amazon's Luna streaming service, that actually gives me Google Stadia vibes. And I'm curious to see what Amazon can do with that technology, just because I feel like most people don't have the strongest internet connection. So this is only a service that would work for a select few.
Yeah, one thing we didn't touch on before actually is how these cloud gaming platforms are kind of becoming more mainstream. In Ubisoft's press conference, they announced that most, if not all, of their games that they announced at this E3 are going to be coming to Google Stadia for launch. So, yeah, we're just seeing an overall movement of games, like a shift towards this new type of cloud streaming service.
Well, I remember the whole time this was presented, the idea was like this could be a console killer, because like, what's the point of carrying all this hardware, buying the latest system, or upgrading your graphics card when Google could just have this super strong computer at their headquarters that you could just stream from home? It's like I feel like it is a viable option in the future, but at the end of the day, most people's internet connection just doesn't work up to those standards. I give it a couple years, like 10 years.
Yeah. I think the technology is a little too it might be a little too early, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like how we have virtual reality, but not everybody has VR in their home right now. I think give it
Exactly.
10 years and Stadia and Amazon Luna now might be in the forefront like how Xbox and PlayStation are.
And I just wanted to talk about Capcom briefly. I am excited actually to hear about the RE DLC, but it is a missed opportunity it's very speculated and honestly very likely that Resident Evil 4 will have a proper remake that comes out soon. So like I figured something else would be announced. They also said they were going to release a Resident Evil 9, like that's officially in development. Capcom said that. And yeah, I guess right now the player base is just being kept in the dark.
I mean, at this point, they might as well just remake all those games and squeeze the money out of the fans. Seems to be working, right?
It is working. I mean, since Resident Evil 7 came out, Capcom's just been going uphill, and they've been winning, like, nonstop. You know, they had those years where everyone was hating on them, saying survival horror is dead, and, I mean, they clearly listened, because Resident Evil 7 was a change of pace, the games got creepy again.
Although,
yeah.
4's gameplay is a little more modern, right? Doesn't necessarily need a remake as much as the original 3 did.
Yeah, I believe
the RE2 remake is like a completely new game almost in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, completely.
So I mean,
2 and 3. Yes.
Yeah. So RE4 has more of like the modern. So
I think it's definitely interesting for sure. And like I'm curious how they would go through like the game engines, but like at this point it's just pure speculation. I just think it's like a fun idea to address, cuz I mean, just like with how good the game engines look nowadays, it's interesting to see how like they would do Leon and like that time jump from RE2 to 4 where he's gone from like intimidated cop to like crazy super soldier representing the president.
Okay, so is that day 3? There's
Yeah, I feel
nothing
like
else. We don't have anything else for day 3.
We didn't really.
is that is that
We just
really
talked
it?
about Resident Evil. We didn't talk about anything that actually happened. But
Mhm.
No,
fuck day
no,
three. It
dude.
doesn't even matter.
No, day 3 there wasn't shit. Look, I only
Day
Yeah,
got
three.
Resident Evil. Nobody cares about Ace Attorney
yeah.
Chronicles. Come on.
Okay, so aside from that, Capcom's announcement of RE8 DLC was really like the biggest takeaway. So I think we should just move on to E3 Day 4. And in that regard, what do you have for us, Cam?
All right, so day 4 was by far the best day. We had Nintendo and Bandai Namco. I think we should start with Bandai Namco. They announced Elden Ring, which I know
Wonderful.
I'm pretty excited for, as well
The
as
trailer was
House of
crazy.
Ashes. Yes. So, do we want to just start with them first and start with Elden Ring?
Let's just talk about Elden Ring for a bit, and then we'll talk about all the other games.
Wherever it
Mhm.
goes.
Yeah. So George R. R. Martin still not releasing Winds of Winter, but he's releasing video games. It's crazy out here, guys. He's a team that was from Software, who, I mean, everybody knows they made Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Sekiro, all those games. What do you guys think about this game? I thought it looked pretty cool with the open world. Felt like an
I mean,
open world Dark Souls type.
on paper, it's a match made in heaven. You'd think because From Software games are known for their gameplay, and they're usually not much on storytelling. It's usually just gameplay that which everyone loves, and adding someone with a mind like George R. R. Martin to add storytelling to a Dark Souls like game, I think it it's only a recipe for success.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
I
different
think that's
change.
the thing.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing of you. No matter what, I think we're gonna get a good story from this game. Like,
hmm
even if it could get the Death Stranding type treatment where the gameplay doesn't end up being good, even though it's from Software, I think it will be. But no matter what, I think we're gonna get a story that people are gonna talk about for a while out of this game.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to see how it's going. I feel like it has to be a change of pace from how From Software makes their other games, because I know the Dark Souls games are very reliant on telling you the story indirectly through notes, exploration, minimal dialogue, and like cutscenes. But I feel like working with the mind of George R. R. Martin, like it's got to be different, you know?
Yeah, I think this company, every game gets better that they make, every single one. And I mean, new is good sometimes. They gotta switch it up, and I think the new gameplay elements could be pretty interesting. House of Ashes. Did you guys see this trailer? This trailer had me so confused. Basically, it takes place in Iraq in a cave, I
hmm
think, and I have written down in my notes, sand demon thing. That's all we saw. There's a sand demon thing hunting these soldiers in Iraq in a cave. I have no clue what is going to happen in the game, what the gameplay is going to be like, but I'm curious to know what's going on in this story.
For sure. It definitely looks very creepy, and I mean, I like that element of just horror in general in a game. I definitely want to see just more games in general embrace the horror genre. I feel like that's a very lacking subject.
Yeah. Um. Now, lastly, the company everybody's been waiting for the whole time, and they stole E3 from everybody else. Nintendo. From the start. We can just go in order. Uh,
Yeah.
we see Ganondorf throwing somebody or getting thrown off a cliff.
Into a volcano, right?
Yeah, into a volcano by Kazuya from Tekken. I personally haven't played the Tekken games. I'm more of a Mortal Kombat guy or Street Fighter, but I know a lot of people weren't very excited for this. They wanted like more of a Sora or a Crash Bandicoot or something, but I think this character is going to be pretty cool in Smash. I mean, fighting game, fighting game. It makes perfect sense to bring him over.
I'm sure he'll
Yeah,
play well.
he looks cool. It's I don't think anyone was really expecting it. It came from left field. I'm not. I'm kind of like indifferent. I'm not too mad at it. I'm not too happy about it. But I mean, the move set looks cool. I'm excited to try him out.
Yeah,
We'll see.
depending what they do next with the next DLC character, I think will determine a lot of people's reactions to these past few.
Yeah.
Another game that we got that looked real good was Mario Party Superstars. which is going to bring back five classic N64 Mario Party maps, over 100 past mini games, and it's going to be completely online supported, coming to the Switch on October 29th.
Oh, is this a completely new game?
So
Essentially?
yeah, it's a completely new. The Super Mario Party released on Switch already. It's obsolete now, I guess.
I
It's-
screwed up buying that game. That was a huge mistake. I should never
Yeah.
have bought Mario Party on
I've
Switch.
been seeing a lot of outrage about that. But I mean,
Oh,
I think this game, even though I didn't buy the first one, so I don't mind. But I think this game will be really good, just
that
because they're bringing back
sucks.
a lot of the past Mario Party elements that everybody loves.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I
the
was
other
gonna
day,
No, I'm
me and Manny
salty
were
because
talking about it.
them
Oh.
releasing this is pretty much them saying it's like, yeah, we knew Super Mario Party was shit. That's pretty much what they're saying.
our
It's like, yeah, that was
apology
trash.
is you can pay a full $60 to get the good one instead.
It's like,
The
y'all wanted
classic
Mario Party. We
Nintendo.
just whipped this shit up in 5 seconds. We'll give you the real one later.
See, that's the thing with Nintendo. They can just play with my heart like that. They abuse their fans so hard, yet we get great games and these announcements that just get us so excited. But
Yeah.
yet they can just do whatever they want.
Nintendo's the one company that knows they have the diehard fans who, no matter what they release, they're going to come and show up and purchase the games. So, series that has many diehard fans that got announced. Metroid Dread got announced at E3. What do you guys think about that one?
It looks fun.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's a nice, callback to this roots with the 2D platformer thing. It's interesting that they announced Metroid 5 before, that's going to come out before Metroid 4. That's pretty funny, but I mean, at least they're giving us something, right? Because I know the Metroid fans have been wanting something for years now, so it's nice that they're finally getting something to hold them over before, the Metroid 4 game that they're all been waiting for is coming out.
Yeah, definitely. The EMMI, it's the little white robot that's chasing after you throughout the game. That's one of the new mechanics. That thing looks pretty cool, and I think it's gonna switch things up to a way that people from the series who have already been there won't think it's the same formula over and over, but new players won't too. It won't be still gameplay, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think that like a huge portion of fans are actually more excited that it's in a side scroller element just because it's like similar to the classic games. I know there's like a huge portion of like Metroid Prime fans, including myself, who enjoyed the first person perspective, but at this point it's just a matter of preference, and I'm sure people are just as pleased that it's side scroller.
Yeah, I know Metroid isn't the most popular Nintendo series, but I know it has a dedicated fan base that has been asking for something for years. So, happy for him.
Yeah. Another series that got brought back after years of not having a game is WarioWare with WarioWare Get It Together. Personally, I would not pay $60 for a WarioWare game. I played WarioWare on the Game Boy and on the GameCube a lot as a kid, one of my favorite games. But I don't know if in 2021 it's worth paying $60 for a game that's just a bunch of mini games. That's not Mario Party.
I agree with you. The original WarioWare, very underrated. I think it's a great game. But I am not spending $60 to play a WarioWare game in 2021. I'm sorry. It's like
Good
Nintendo. I can't do it. It's not. No.
Yeah, they're
sorry.
getting me from pure nostalgia, but I'm probably gonna wait the 5 years until they put it on sale for like $10.
Do you know this is
5
Nintendo? They
years?
don't fucking
Yeah.
put games on sale.
Yeah,
The game's gonna be $60 until the end of time.
Nintendo would never put like a first party game on sale.
Yeah.
That's too precious to them.
I
That'll
saw,
never
like,
drop below $50.
Yeah. Last week they put Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle on sale for like the first time ever I saw.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, that one's like a half and half studio. It's like half Ubisoft, half them. So
Yeah. Oh, that's something we didn't really touch on much during the Ubisoft piece. Mario and Rabbids Stars of Hope. I mean, I didn't play the first one, but
I
they
don't.
got
I
me
don't.
sold.
I'm
They
gonna
have
be
me
honest.
sold.
I don't give a shit about Mario and Rabbids.
They have me sold. I don't know. The cinematic trailer just looked cool. Mario had guns. There's gonna be a bunch of crazy shenanigans going on.
Mario has a Glock.
I've heard good things about the first one, but it's not something that particularly interests me. So
I get that. I hear good things about the games too, but personally, I don't know how I feel about paying full price for those games. But a game I would happily throw $60 at is the new Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. What do you
Yeah.
guys think?
So we didn't see much gameplay, but it looked. I mean, it was right at the end of E3, and I think by far is the thing people are talking about the most, right?
I mean, the Zelda franchise practically never misses. So pretty much
Yeah.
all they have to do is just announce a game called Zelda. And with how good Breath of the Wild was, all you really got to do is just take that game, add some new abilities, and give us more of it. Um, at this point, I just feel like it's impossible for them to make a bad Zelda game because they just every single one they drop is just amazing. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's almost guaranteed it's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
I
Breath of the
feel the
Wild
same way.
was one of my favorite games ever, and I just can't wait to hop back in that world. I saw they have like the new little Skyloft type areas going on,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just in time for Skyward Sword remake, of course. And so they're gonna convince all of us to buy that, of course. But
Mhm.
I just think that as long as you just don't take away anything we're able to do, don't take away the exploration that we got with Breath of the Wild that we didn't have in the other Zelda games, where you can beat it in any order, any time. Keep the core mechanics there and just add more, and it should be a great game. 10 out of 10.
For sure. I mean, the idea that it's essentially just the same world from Breath of the Wild, just they're making changes and tweaks to it. So there's already that element of exploration, but like I know there's gonna be plenty of new enemy types and just seeing Link literally like phase through the ground. I can't
Yeah.
imagine like the potential in that gameplay. You
Yeah,
know?
what was that? I think the game's gonna have a lot to do with time travel.
Hmm.
As we saw the stasis, it made the little ball go backwards. That was cool too.
Hmm.
Um, it should just be a fun game overall. They also announced the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I know you guys haven't played that. It's a pretty fun game. They announced two DLC packs for it for just $20 total. So we were talking about before, Far Cry 6's release DLC like before the game even comes out. They released this month after and only for $20. So Nintendo shows that with DLC, they can really just do how they want and you're gonna buy it.
For
I
sure.
mean, Nintendo is just like an abusive fuck. I've started the
Nintendo
joke
is an
before
abusive fuck.
I started the joke before I had it in my head. But you know where this is.
That's for the fan to decide. Yay!
People you call up to the show, you better be ready. That's what you're supposed to do.
So that concludes E3's Nintendo Day. Moving on to that, let's just answer some fan questions. I will start with a question from Vic asking, would you like to see a Metal Gear Solid movie or show? I think it works better as an R-rated miniseries. I'll start on the answer. I fully agree with you, Vic. I think an R-rated miniseries is the best way to do it. Come on, a movie? Like, you can't... There's a lot of things to say with that. Like, where do you start? Do you do Solid Snake? Do you do Big Boss? But a single movie just seems like not enough to like handle something of that magnitude.
Yeah,
I
if you guys
agree.
can't tell, Metal Gear Solid is the Marshmallow's favorite game ever. So he's of course gonna want it. I'm gonna switch up the question a little bit. I obviously would want to see it, but I would like to see who would you guys like to see as like Snake? Pedro Pascal, something like that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Oscar Isaac.
I
Oscar Isaac.
I like the
Oscar
Oscar Isaac casting. I think that's a good idea. I could definitely see him. It's
I'd
kind
like-
of hard.
Yeah.
I feel like they could just get an unknown for it.
Mhm.
It's like I don't know. There's no one in Hollywood who I just see as Snake really.
Time travel back in time 40 years and get like what's his name, Kurt Russell? Is that who it was in Escape from New York?
Yeah, I mean that's who the
Yeah.
you know who's the game is based off of loosely. So that's where he gets the Pliskin name from. So
It really depends where in the timeline we're trying to make this movie. Ideally, I'd want the story to start with like a young Solid Snake in the events of the original Metal Gear. Like not even the one on PlayStation, like the one like way before that, the 2D version where he goes to like Outer Heaven and fights Big Boss. Cuz like that's Snake's a rookie when that game starts. You know, he like doesn't have much experience as a soldier on the fields yet. and I feel like that'd have a lot of good potential. But yeah, Vic, that's pretty much my answer on Metal Gear. Moving on to question 2. Given it's the first podcast, sorry. So on to question 2. It is from Luke. Given it's the first podcast, what's everyone's Mount Rushmore of games? That's a lot.
Fuck.
So all right. You want me to go first? I got it. I think.
All right.
That's a question I need to prepare an answer for.
So I'm going number 1, Breath of the Wild. Number 2, I'm going to say God of War 2018. Number 3, I'll probably say Spider-Man Miles Morales. And number 4, I'm going to throw in for nostalgia. I'll throw in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Very modern list.
Yeah. I mean, God of War, don't sleep on God of War. Yeah. That's the best game.
That list does show that you're very young.
I mean,
What about you, Manny?
I'm going Super Monkey Ball. Shrek 2, the video game.
classic.
Iconic. Tetris.
Fucking Tetris would be a funny answer. Now my actual list would probably be like The Last of Us, probably Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Breath of the Wild's better.
I agree. I honestly do agree. It's tough, but yeah, Breath of the Wild just is one of the most perfect games I've played. All right. So
I have to think like Metal Gear Solid 3, maybe.
mhm.
What about you, Mello?
So my Mount Rushmore of games is tough because honestly, sometimes I flip flop with favorites. There was a time where I'd say Persona 5 was my number one game.
That was my guess right there.
Persona 5 Royal, I've spent so much time in, probably like over 300 hours. I've done New Game Plus. I beat the game twice, once normal, once on New Game Plus. And that game is just honestly autopilot to me at this point, but also I grew up on Metal Gear. Like Turtle Soup said, Metal Gear Solid 3 is also one of my favorite games ever. I remember I was like a diehard fan as a kid, and I was trying to convince a bunch of other kids to play Metal Gear. Like, kids are probably like, what the hell is this guy playing? But yeah, probably either Last of Us, Metal Gear Solid 3, Persona 5, or the classic Resident Evil games, which that's a whole nother tangent. I don't know. I just got favorite series. So moving on to our third question from Monroe. Who's the first boss you fought with that made you want to throw the controller? Mine was Devil in Tekken 2. So I think the question is essentially, when's the first time you rage quit on a boss?
Sephiroth, Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, hardest boss I've done for a while. Well, now, go to Kingdom Hearts 3, fight Yuzora. Can't do it. That game has pretty hard bosses, yeah.
It was a mini boss for me personally, but back on the Wii days, I was probably like 7 or 8, and I was playing Zelda Majora's Mask on like the virtual store, and there was like an alien invasion on a farm segment that relied on you being like pretty decent with the bow and arrow. And with my child coordination, I was terrible. So I remember rage quitting multiple times playing that.
I think mine was also in Zelda. I was a young ass kid playing Ocarina of Time, and I wasn't even able to get past the Deku Tree because I was like 4 or 5 years old playing it. That's probably it.
Damn, we left out Sekiro. That game's hard.
Question was the first.
Yeah. Sekiro has to be. Question was the first. Never mind.
Pay attention.
Hardest by far, Sekiro.
So moving on to our next question from Pan. Have you ever been a fan of Elder Scrolls or Fallout series? If so, are you super stoked for Starfield? The quick answer is yes, I want Starfield to be a good game, but also I don't own an Xbox, and my PC is, I wouldn't say, up to par with what Starfield probably requires. So I do want it to be a good game, but I just don't see myself playing it anytime soon if it's going to be exclusive to both Xbox and PC. What do you guys think?
In here, I mean, I wasted my money on Fallout 76, so I'm not really the biggest Bethesda guy. But I'm looking forward to Starfield. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, as you heard me say earlier, I didn't really know what Starfield was. I'm a big fan of Skyrim. I wouldn't say I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan. I just haven't really played any of the other ones. Besides, I can't call myself a big Elder Scrolls fan. I've only played Skyrim, right? So
Yeah, if anything, I would just make us Skyrim fans more than
Yeah.
anything else. To
Feel like
which
that's
that
everyone.
I for sure am a huge Skyrim fan. I mean, I played it on the Xbox, and that version was horrible, where you'd have to wait for like
yeah,
5 minutes to get from like room to room. And like, I've put hundreds of hours into Skyrim, and I've played plenty of Oblivion. I am excited for whenever the new Elder Scrolls game comes out. That probably will be when I break and finally upgrade my computer to run a Bethesda game. But like, it got announced in 2018, and we still
Yeah, I
haven't
was
seen
about to say,
anything on it. So
they
like,
announced that years ago.
it's tough, I just, like I said, I want them to be good, but I'm just setting the bar low. On to the next question from Christian. Who won E3 this year?
Ooh,
Nintendo.
you think Nintendo? I'm gonna throw a curveball and say Xbox in E3. I think they did just the amount of people are gonna get to join Xbox Game Pass with 27 new games coming, and titles like Forza Horizon 5, that one most anticipated game of E3 somehow, even though it's a racing game. We didn't talk about it earlier, but I think just Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, and Starfield is going to have a lot of people excited for the future of Xbox. Maybe they didn't win this year since these games are dropping in 2022, but in the near future, Xbox will be on the comeback, I think.
For sure. I think to the new buyer, people who don't already have money invested into their other game consoles, Xbox is a really enticing offer, with all the Game Pass deals it has. And yeah, another question from Christian. What are your most anticipated games for 2021 and 2022? I want to finish up on that because it's time for me to put on my conspiracy hat and talk about some rumors, but you guys go first.
Probably newest God of War. It's probably my most anticipated game.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though they didn't show it. Yeah.
Other than that, Breath of the Wild 2. I'm assuming they're probably gonna. Or shit, is Breath of the Wild 2 2022?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
next year.
yeah. Of games that we saw a lot of, I think my most anticipated is definitely Shadow Warriors 3. It doesn't look like it's going to be much, but I think I'm giving faith in the small company.
I just
Bring
don't
back-
like how it looks just like Doom.
Yeah, but you love Doom.
Yeah,
Doom's one
but
of your favorite
it
games.
looks like it's ripping it off.
Okay, but did Doom have samurais?
That is a good
Me.
point.
And everything's
Okay.
better with samurais. Westworld, you see, we saw it.
Yeah, season 2 Westworld was the best season.
Cold take, cold take.
That was
All
a
right.
joke.
So there is not a lot of news on this, but an announcement is coming on June 27th, so I just wanted to get ahead of this. A game called Abandoned will finally have a gameplay reveal on this upcoming Tuesday, and there is a lot of speculation that this is actually Hideo Kojima's hidden project, and that he is the unnamed developer who's secretly overseeing the next Silent Hills game. So there are multiple reasons why people are thinking this, but a big one is the developer actually tweeted themselves that Abandon is not the actual name, and that the real name, the first letter starts with S and the last letter starts with L, so Silent Hill. And on top of that, Konami is actually outsourcing their IPs to other companies, and a Japanese studio, Sony, potentially picked up that, and it's only 5 developers. And yeah, a lot of the fans are just speculating that like this is totally a Kojima move, and it honestly isn't far off. Like how in 2012 there was a company named Moby Dick Studios that was working on like, a game in the Afghanistan desert, and it ended up being Metal Gear Solid 5, and Kojima revealed himself covered in bandages and like, revealed his face. So it totally is something he would do. So yeah, I'm just going to put it out there. Mark my words. June 22nd, Silent Hill reveal.
I got a question. Is that gonna be PT basically? That game PT that got announced? Remember that demo we all played? That was scary as shit.
I don't think it'll be the same game in the
Mm.
sense of what that was, but I think it'll still be Kojima's twisted genius mind trying
Either
to
way, I'm excited for it.
100%. And on that note, that is the first episode of Level Up Gaming. I hope everyone found it as enjoying as it was for us to make. And yeah,
Or not.
or
Thanks.
not.